I like the sound of that. Pop the tops. It is time to enjoy a beverage and enjoy some orange and blue today. Cecil Lammy, Andrew Mason talking about the Denver Broncos, day 4 of training camp. Troy Franklin, RJ Harvey. We could have a debate, Mace, who had the largest play of the day. A 40-yard, essentially, 50-50 ball Troy Franklin came down with. And what, 35, 40-yard run for RJ Harvey on the outside?
I think we could have a debate in terms of like what's the more spectacular play and maybe what's the more important play.
More important play is the run play.
Exactly.
Yep.
See, like the more spectacular play is Troy Franklin in coverage. Not a great throw by Sam Ehlinger, but a very nice adjustment on the ball by Troy Franklin. That's the most spectacular play of the day because of what he had to do to get that pass. I mean, that's incredibly impressive. But RJ Harvey getting to the edge like he did and getting upfield, the burst that he's shown getting outside, and him basically passing the test the last couple of days when the pads have gone on, that was the whole question, right? Okay, how is he going to look when pads go on? Well, in terms of running the ball, he's passing the test. In terms of pass protection, that is decidedly a work in progress because he got flattened today at one point.
Yes, pass protection going to be a thing.
Yes.
And that's why there might be a little bit of a ramp up there. Let's begin with the Troy Franklin situation because you said something very interesting off air that I want to get on air. Troy Franklin having a good camp, but Andrew Mason says maybe not the camp that some have been promoting.
I mean, I think there are some that think that it's okay, it's dazzling, it's a great camp. I think he's having a very good camp, but I don't think I would say not like transcendent camp is what I'm saying. I think he's having a very good camp. I think there are some out there that's like it's a wow camp, and I'm not there like at that level with Troy Franklin. I think he's having a very good camp, but not this like wow firework camp. That's where I am at.
Okay. Do you think people are saying, wow, firework camp for Franklin just based on last year and some drop problems, some inconsistency? And this year, there haven't been as many drops. Again, you get to see more than I. But when I see Franklin, I like his concentration. The 50-50 ball today, he's showing good plucking the ball away from his body, doing some things that, well, Pat Bryant's still like pulling the ball down, getting knocked out by KAD. I think that was Saturday.
Yeah.
But do you think it's Franklin's last year, maybe like an overreaction? Like now he's okay, he's good, and everyone's kind of like overreacting because last year he had some issues.
Perhaps, and I think also a very interesting thing also is most of these plays are happening against the 2s and 3s. Right. What I would like to see is Troy Franklin go against the 1s some more.
Whew. Okay.
Whereas we're seeing Pat Bryant against the 1s a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing Devon Vele against the 1s. I'd like to see maybe more plays from Troy Franklin against the 1s.
Right, and that's the next step.
Yes, and maybe work him in against the first team a bit more as they rotate him in. That's, I think, kind of what I'm looking at because when I look at some of the big plays for Troy Franklin, they're happening kind of down the depth chart. I want to see some of those big plays against the top cornerbacks. I want to see them against Surtain and Moss, basically. Yeah. That I think is sort of maybe what I'm looking at here because when I see the splash plays, I see them, they're happening against Damari Mathis, they're happening against the third team, and I want to see them more against the top line.
That'll be a wow play.
Yeah.
He does anything against Surtain, that will be a wow play. So we'll continue to watch out with Troy Franklin there. But let's get back to the RJ Harvey thing because that run, and again, I will continue
that was against the 1s, by the way.
Yes. First team defense. Yeah. It was against the 1s. And I will continue to emphasize he is an inside out runner. He is showing the intent to be an inside out runner, which is the best kind of runner you can be. He doesn't try to take everything to the corner. So, that's something to watch out for. Again, you and I've seen a lot of young backs. They always go to the corner. This was a run that went outside, but Mase, it's from this guy like kind of badgering between the tackles and then using the opportunity and the vision to get outside and break a long one.
The vision and the decisiveness. There's no hesitation with him. Mm-hmm. He doesn't dance. That's the thing. He doesn't dance. He just goes. he commits to a decision, and it happens in an instant. That's a thing that jumps out. There's a decisiveness to him. No hesitation, just goes. When it's there, he goes after it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that excites you. And let's just play Sean Payton's comment. I asked him a question. Now, I want to kind of set this up here. It was a line of questioning. They were talking about kind of the pressure on the pass game, how Bo Nix was reacting to it, and today we saw Bo Nix scramble quite a bit. Some of his best plays were with his legs, which sort of plays off something that Dre Greenlaw said on Monday, that one of the things that Bo Nix does that puts stress on defense is he scrambles, that he has basically that club in his bag, that there's the threat of that, and it basically puts another layer on the defense and what they have to cope with. He definitely is going to operate from the pocket, but the fact that he has that mobility and the fact that he can elude the pass rush, it's something that he has and he's willing to use. And Sean Payton is okay with Bo Nix using that when he has to. What Sean Payton doesn't want is for Bo Nix to take hits. But in terms of getting away, getting to the sideline or sliding, but getting some yardage, he's okay with that. So if there's pressure and Bo Nix takes off and turns into positive play, he's fine with that. So in the vein of pressure and reacting to it, I asked Sean Payton about RJ Harvey, because was something we all saw was RJ Harvey getting flattened in pass pro, but asking kind of in the vein of him learning from that, because he's a rookie and we have seen since time immemorial rookies struggle in pass pro. This is just normal. It's okay, especially right now. He's going to learn and grow from that. And he talked about that, but this is where you get to some of the good stuff and what Sean Payton is seeing in RJ Harvey. So listen to what Sean said to the question I asked him.
For him specifically, the protections, the speed of the game, he had a run today that was something. And, we kind of turned and looked at each other. But, there's that learning curve for all of those young players. But in some of it happens a little quicker, maybe, than others, but he's doing exceptional.
We all turned and looked at each other like
taking notice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They got something.
They got something there.
There's that moment when you realize that you found something, that the guy you picked, the guy you identified, he's actually got the goods. That's a fun moment when you're sitting there and you're watching practice for any coaching staff, any personnel staff, when you see it come to fruition, when you realize that the player you identified, scouted, put a lot of stock in, and then you see it happen, you see it manifest at this level, and you see, okay, this guy's actually got the tools, and this thing really might work out in a big way here. And that run, that play, that sweep, there was a play like that yesterday, but not as big a hit as this one was.
Right.
This was at least 40 yards in a game if it happens. This popped. Mm-hmm. This is an explosive. And it's an explosive against a potentially elite defense. This is exciting.
That's another thing about this offense. Usually ahead of an offense in training camp. Yeah. There's been a balance. I've heard you talk about that. I've talked about it separately. Like, there's balance here. It's not one, totally dominating the other side.
Yeah.
And that creates a great back and forth and what I think is a very exciting camp. And with Harvey out there, at any moment, that sort of play can happen.
The home run threat.
Yes. Give me chills.
Yeah. And it's a home run threat from a guy who can be your every down back. I mean, Jaleel McLaughlin has a home run threat in him too, but you can't have him out there on a regular basis.
No.
He's a home run threat because of his speed, but you can't have him play more than a handful of snaps a game. He's just not built for that. But RJ Harvey's built for that.
Yes.
You can have him out there playing a bunch of snaps. You can get him 20 touches a game if you need to. Now, Sean Payton's history of having an RB1, RB2 says that you're not going to get 20 touches when all is said and done. It's going to be somewhere around 14 to 17 in all likelihood, but that's okay. RJ could probably handle more if you needed him to, but ideally that's not. I think the running back who had the most touches per game for Sean Payton in a season, on a per game basis, I believe that was Alvin Kamara in 2021 when their quarterback situation in New Orleans completely fell apart.
He was
after
everything.
Jameis Winston got injured, and basically it was out of necessity.
Right.
He was their entire offense once Jameis went down. They had nothing else that worked.
Yeah, nothing else that worked, and that had to lean on their one guy to make things happen. RJ Harvey is not the only guy back there. J.K. Dobbins continues to look good as well. With the Harvey thing, and you see a hard charging there, and the crisp cuts, not a lot of wasted motion from either one of these guys. The thing I've said about RJ Harvey is this. Clinton Portis took till about week 6 to get going. He had 1,500 yards. I don't think RJ will get 1,500. 12, maybe. 1,000, maybe. Say 900 is a good number.
From scrimmage or rushing?
Rushing.
Okay.
Clint Portis had 1,500 yards and he didn't get going until week 6. Guess when Phillip Lindsay got going? Because I talked to Phil yesterday about this.
Mm-hmm.
Just on an off chance. I did not know this. Phil said, I got my first opportunity in week 6.
Yeah. He had a touchdown in week 1, but that was in the passing game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you say yardage for RJ Harvey, and I'm thinking 1,500 from scrimmage potentially.
Yeah, 900 on the ground. Let's go like 500, 600 as a receiver. Could be quite significant as a receiver. And Dobbins almost could have similar stats, near 1,000 and let's say 300-400 as a receiver.
Yeah. Kamara had 1,500 from scrimmage as a rookie.
Yep.
So I think that's something to kind of bear in mind. That's a number.
And he had 81 catches, top of my head.
Yeah. 2020, Kamara had 1,688 from scrimmage, and Latavius Murray had 832 from scrimmage. So maybe there, if RJ Harvey really ends up emerging and it ends up being more tilted toward him, that's maybe what you end up looking at. If J.K. Dobbins stays healthy and ends up playing quite a bit, perhaps it ends up something like 2017. I think we're probably saying, okay, if it works out, that was the year 2017. 1554 for Kamara, 1540 for Ingram. I think that's what you're shooting for. Like if you're talking for shoot for the stars, if it worked out perfectly, that's an example of it working out perfectly. I think I'd be happy with 1,300 for each, quite frankly.
Yeah, even 12. If 1,200 and as a combined backfield, keep everybody healthy as much as possible. But if you approach 2,000 yards rushing between the two, 1,800 yards rushing between the two, I think that's a really good number, especially considering RJ Harvey could catch 60, 70, maybe not quite 81 like Kamara, but it's out there. And if he's proven himself in pass protection, I mean, that will be a target. That will be a heavy target structure for the running backs, and so much different than last year. You mentioned the not dancing thing.
Yes.
We love you, Javonte, but you danced a little too much.
Yes.
No dancing rule. It's like Footloose out there in Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit. Like, no dancing.
I like that.
It's illegal. I looked it up.
Oh, my gosh. You.
Don't make us start our Harry Met Sally conversation. But anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to. No one wants to hear that. I mean, we had a great conversation off air, but no one wants to hear that. one cut and go. I always like to quote Bobby Turner, the great running back coach who was here for a long time. One cut and go. That's what he always said. Clinton Portis was great at that.
Whew.
Man, he might have been the best pure one cut and go runner, with all respect to Terrell Davis, as far as like just purely following that teaching. He might have been the best at that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he was extraordinary.
RJ Harvey could be extraordinary this year, and that's exciting to bring this ground game back and the kind of, butterfly effect, the ripple effect, whatever you want to say, of this ground game tied with Bo Nix in year 2, with Evan Ingram, with emerging targets like Marvin Mims, little Troy Franklin, little Pat Bryant, lots of Cortland Sutton, who is getting ramped in, by the way, for the crowd. Training camp stats between you and me are a thing, right? But I don't like people saying, well, Cortland's out there, but he's not doing. Yes, he's fine, everybody. He's signed now. He's doing stuff. I thought he might get targeted a little bit more today. I'm not disappointed that he wasn't.
He did have that one play, the 25-yarder or so from Jarrett Stidham, not from Bo Nix. So he did get involved.
Surprised Stidham didn't look for Ingram.
The Stidham to Ingram combination, that's been working.
This is boo.
Yeah, so it's fine. I mean, again, they're moving guys up and down the depth chart, but like I said, that's why I want to see Troy Franklin make a play against the ones. I sort of want to see that happen, because when we see Troy Franklin eating, mostly it's against it's against the 2s and 3s. I mean, I'd love to see Troy Franklin make a play even against like a Chris Abrams drain, right? Not like he had that big play, but it was against, it was Damari Mathis who was trailing. And, Damari Mathis right now is sharing a jersey number with J.K. Dobbins. And unfortunately, I don't think that's a good sign for Damari Mathis right now. that they gave J.K. Dobbins 27 when he came in, when Damari's had it the last few years. I'm like, oh boy, that does not augur well for Mathis here as he goes into his 4th season. It's one of those guys for whom it might be getting late early.
That's for sure, certain out there. A lot of guys going to be like that. In just a moment, we're going to get to some more commentary about today's practice. But before we do, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Today's episode of Orange and Blue Today is presented by Ramos Law, the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos. Ramos Law was founded by Dr. Joseph Ramos, an attorney and ER doctor, to provide exceptional care to those injured in accidents. With a unique understanding of both medicine and law, the Ramos Law team is built to fight for you every step of the way. Experience the Ramos Law difference. Contact them today at ramoslaw.com.
All right, Mason, a programming note for everyone on our YouTube channel at 9 p.m. Mountain Time. Your full interview with Adam Trautman is going to come out. So we got some Trautman stuff. You talked to Dondrea Tillman. Again, programming note, that's tomorrow at 9 p.m. The full interview will be out on our Denver Sports YouTube. But let's talk about some other observations from practice today. And maybe even I'll tease it a little bit because you have eyes on it better than I. The best day from Audric Estime. Zach Bai sent me a note and said, hey, he slipped in the backfield once, but perhaps this was his best day.
I thought it was too. I mean, we talked about it before pads went on, that this would probably offer him a chance to enhance his standing, that it would accentuate his strengths, and it has. So you can see him gaining confidence. He's, the last couple of days, I think, separated from Blake Watson down there. I mean, at this point, Watson, he's kind of getting the leftovers as far as the reps go, unfortunately for him, if you're just kind of, keeping track of like how much they're playing. And so Estime actually got a decent amount of reps today and did look good with them. He's running with some authority. So I thought he had a pretty good day as well. I thought some good work from the front 7 today as well. Both Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito, very effective. Thought this is the best practice we've seen from Jonah Ellis so far. Think putting on the pads, he's taken the next step as well. It's been, one thing, we were wondering how Q Robinson would look with the pads going on, he hasn't been quite as active the last couple of days as he was before. So maybe there's a little bit of an adjustment going on for him now with the pads going on, that he's kind of having to kind of find his level a little bit as he gets accustomed to that. You know, he was making plays every day, day in and day out before, but he's gotten kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit the last couple of days. Whereas you see Jonah Ellis getting pressure, you still see Dondrea Tillman getting pressures like that. Like Tillman has kind of maintained his level, and Ellis has kind of stepped it up the last couple of days. So that's encouraging for him. We saw Mike McGlinchey actually get out there and get some team period reps today, so he's back on track. Lavelle Bailey, he got some praise from Sean Payton today. He actually was playing alongside Dre Greenlaw. Thought he looked good today out there. Saw, Karene Reed down there, he's getting a few more reps as the domino affected inside linebacker gives him some more opportunities. I thought he looked good today. You can hear the coaches giving him some props during practice as well. The very instinctual, very aggressive. You're seeing him in the backfield. You're seeing him attack. So those are some guys that are jumping out to me as far as making plays. We also saw one-on-ones today. We got our first one-on-one period. Did you have a chance to check that out, Cease, from your vantage?
Very little bit.
Okay.
Again, they were practicing on the opposite field too, so your binoculars had to come in handy.
Okay, yeah. So observations. First of all, best play of that period for the offense, Trent Sherfield working against Jaquan McMillan, a really perfect stutter-go route that froze Jaquan, and then he got separation downfield, got under it for a touchdown. And then not long after that, Joaquin Davis tried something similar. He got separation as well. He couldn't reel it in at the end. The ball kind of hung up, and he adjusted back to it. He couldn't quite get the pass, but it was still a nice route to set that up. Jahdae Barron, he had 2 reps. He is the type of guy who gives a lot of cushion on these. And you give a lot of cushion, you're allowing stuff underneath. So that is an observation I have watching Barron in these reps. Now, one-on-ones, receiver versus corner, they always favor the receiver. So bear that in mind when you evaluate these. But it's interesting to kind of watch the style of play from the corner and how they attack the receiver. Some corners you see kind of get up in there. They do kind of press man. And Jahdae, of course, befitting somebody who moves around. He's seen some safety. He played that star position at Texas. He's a guy who maybe kind of likes to play back a little bit. That's what we saw in those reps as well. And then the receivers, went underneath and were able to make some plays against him a couple of times.
Yeah, he's got click and close ability. I don't want him turning his hips. On film, at least, he was always better when the play was in front of him than when he had to turn his hips. He didn't have bad hips, but that's also not the forte of his game. Forte of his game is his versatility and his brain.
Yeah.
And staying ahead of the play.
Yeah, keeping it in front of him is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something where you figure, as the Broncos try to find his role, how do they kind of keep things in front of him? Frankly, as I watched Jahdae Barron, I think to myself more and more, I think Riley Moss should probably feel pretty good about being the starter on the outside. I think he's going to be your week 1 starter on one side and then Pat Surtain on the other. Riley's having a really good camp, by the way. If there's a challenge put forward to him, Riley's responded to that with gusto, I believe.
Just stay healthy.
Yeah.
Because this defense didn't look the same without him last year.
Exactly. Does that not tell you how valuable he was? That when he left the lineup, it collapsed like a house of cards.
Mm-hmm.
It was not the same without him. That he leaves the lineup and it was dead last in the league in total defense in December. And it wasn't the same even when he came back because he was playing. He was playing injured, not just hurt. He was basically playing injured. But he knew he had to get back out there, or at least try his damnedest to get back out there. And man, it wasn't the same. That tells you how valuable he was. It's another reason why the Broncos knew they needed to add depth at corner. If they had not drafted Shadé Barron, they were still going to get a corner at some point in the draft because they had to bolster that position. Now, certainly Chris Abrams-Drain, he had a good offseason. He's played well, but I think, to me, one of the stories that's bubbling underneath the surface is just how well Riley Moss has played the last few days as well, and it shows just how he stepped up. And he had a good offseason as well, but he's becoming a guy who's pretty locked down on his side of the field too.
Yeah, and seeing Surtain versus Sutton out there was very nice. Very nice to see Court back in. They're ramping up Court, but Sutton versus Surtain. And I've seen Sutton get open against Surtain. It doesn't happen often, but it's always cool to see because Pat's so smart and physical, but Sutton's pretty savvy now. He's really developed as a route runner.
He's savvy, and the thing is, he knows him so well. He knows Pat. And, I mean, Pat knows him too. But, again, when you have those one-on-ones, receiver versus DB, it does favor the receiver. So the fact that he knows Pat so well, he's going to be able to use that against him. Right. And that's why you do sometimes see him make some plays at his expense in the one-on-ones. So, again, kind of take that as you will. So one-on-ones are always fun to watch because it's the confrontation of it. You know, it's a juicy thing. I was a little disappointed that they had those on the far field instead of the near field where the fans are. Right. So because that would have really brought some juice to the day, having the one-on-ones there in front of the 800 or so fans up there in the bleachers. But they want to have relatively even wear on the fields. This was the first day that they practiced over on the far fields away from the bleachers. So hopefully back on the near fields on Wednesday. And
I'm happy to report, as I'm the last one at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit, they were redoing the lines on the near field in front of the tents.
So you think that's where they're going to be tomorrow?
I believe so, yes, because they were repainting the line. So maybe it's back in front of us again. And, well, not everyone has your binoculars or your sight to see.
You can't really function without binoculars out there. I mean, I would say even when it's nearby, I like to have the binoculars because I like to kind of really get in there and watch the line play up close. Like sometimes I'll be like, who caught the pass, because I'm watching in the backfield. I want to see who got the pressure. And sometimes if you don't have the binoculars, it can be kind of, it can be so quick and without the binoculars, you don't see exactly who got the pressure. So that's why I'm glad I have them no matter what.
And as you mentioned yesterday, today's practice was a little bit longer, but it felt like a really good day of work.
Yeah.
Didn't have the cart come out like, all right, you got a padded day. We'll see how many more of these are coming up. And really, honestly, Mase, once we get past Saturday, as weird as it sounds, training camp will almost be over because of the San Francisco trip and the joint practice.
Well, this is the week, the 6 days in a row. This is actually, in some ways, the longest week of the entire season. Mm-hmm. This is the only week all season the Broncos put on their helmets 6 days in a row. Doesn't happen any other week all year. Think about that. 6 days in a row does not happen any other week the rest of the season. I mean, and then for us, for example, even from our perspective, we're not out there 6 days in a row any other time. Doesn't mean we're not busy, but we're not going out there. I think from my perspective as well, I always realize that this week is the longest week of the season. Not that it isn't going to be busy the rest of the time, but I'm like, okay, this is the week where I probably get the least sleep. This is the week where I just kind of I grind, But I always say to myself, if I get through this week, the rest of the season, it'll be okay. And I think that's part of what this week serves for the entire team. Like, you go 6 days in a row, by that fourth day, Thursday, Friday, that's usually when we start seeing some scrums because that's usually when it gets chippy.
Yep.
You get, everyone gets, by that Thursday, Friday, everyone's getting tired of it. Right? We're not there yet.
Right.
But a day or two now, we will be. But then Saturday, you're close, and then that's it. It's
Mm-hmm.
But we're only 1/3 of the way there. We just hit the third pole today. So, and
That
on the seventh
opportunity
day,
to
Bo
go
rests.
YOLO, Yoda, you will be. I'm not afraid.
You will be.
And yes, as Jay says, on the seventh day, Bo rests. Yeah, it feels different. I know that Chase Daniel, I think he said it on Twitter of like, things look like Super Bowl. The national reporters are going to come in and going to see a really sharp Broncos team.
Yes.
We're there every day, and we see a really sharp Broncos team. So, yes, this will be the common narrative. Just get used to insert national reporter X saying the Broncos look like division contenders, perhaps Super Bowl contenders. They look real. They look like the real deal, Mase.
They do. It's exciting to see that. But, of course, I'd like to see what other teams they say that about.
Right.
Maybe we should just kind of take stock and say, how many teams do they say that about? Is this like when Dick Vitale will annually go around and put 100 teams into his field of 68 and say they're worthy of the tournament? Like, hey, we love you, Dick. We love your enthusiasm, but there are only 68 spots in this tournament.
Right.
They can't all be worthy of it. Some of these are NIT teams.
Yeah.
Like they can't all be Super Bowl contenders. Like it would actually, in all seriousness, like it would actually be interesting to see like how many teams are they saying this about? Are they going down to Houston and saying that? Are they going to Los Angeles and saying that about the Chargers? I mean, we know they're going to say that about the Bills. We know they're going to say that about the Chiefs. I mean, I think that's obvious. They'll say that about the Ravens, right?
Sure.
Are they going to say that about the Steelers after they watch Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. I mean, or are they all focused on just whatever he's saying about Terry Bradshaw or ayahuasca or whatever?
Yeah. Well, you never know. Although some of those highlights out of Pittsburgh, you're like, ooh, that's not great, Bob.
Well, the whole thing, there was one clip I saw and it was like trying to like a catch by DK Metcalf, like, look at this. And it was out of bounds. Like, this isn't a great play. It's like, it's a yard out of bounds. You're right. Celebrating this? Come on. Like what are you clinging to here, man? I mean, you had too many rolling rocks out there in Latrobe? I mean, what's going on?
I think training camp reporting has jumped the shark a bit. Not here, not on this show, but across the league, you're seeing a lot of that stuff. The George Pickens play where it wasn't even him, it was from a year ago with Dak. So yeah, I think we're getting a little bit of that. So everyone trying to go viral. Mase, we're just trying to talk football, right? Let's do it, man.
Trying to talk football. He's trying to talk ball. That's basically it.
That is it. All right. That is a wrap for today's program. We'll be out there once again tomorrow, of course. And Mase, people are enjoying your late night Denver football after dark.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, Sharon said that in the chat room. Like, yeah, you're not getting any sleep because you're on at midnight.
Well, I wouldn't be sleeping anyway. So it's like, let's just do a little more, right?
Yeah, you are a night owl. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. And remember, programming note, the full Andrew Mason, Adam Trautman interview coming out 9 p.m. on our Denver Sports YouTube. We certainly appreciate you all for that. But Mase, how can folks help us out on said YouTube?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you never miss a vid. That's right. He's Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mase Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammy saying OBT's BFD. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty?